Hey everybody, it's Tara Bryan, and you are listening to the Course Building Secrets podcast. Whether you're a coach or a CEO, the success of your team and clients is based on your ability to deliver a consistent experience and guide them on the fastest path to results. This podcast will give you practical, real-life tips that you can use today to build your online experiences that get results and create raving fans. Why? So you can monetize your expertise and serve more people without adding more time or team to your business. If you're looking to uncover your $1 million framework, package it, and use it to scale, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode of the Course Building Secrets podcast. I am so thrilled to introduce you to Holly Homer today. She is our special guest on today's show. And welcome, Holly. So happy to have you here. I am so excited to introduce you to all of the things, all of the knowledge, all of the wonderful things that Holly is going to bring to the table today. So welcome, Holly.
And thank you. I'm so excited to be here. And way too long since I've seen you last. So let's just get that out there.
Yeah, totally. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about how we know each other. But first, Holly, give us a little bit of a rundown of who you are, what you're about, and what your small part of or big part of the online world is.
Oh, it's a huge part. I invented the internet. No, I'm super low tech. And about 20 years ago, I accidentally started what I now know was one of the first mom blogs. And so while that started out as a hobby and a kind of a way to replace a very expensive scrapbooking habit, it has grown into my full-time business and it supports my family. And through the years of that and the various renditions of the sites that I have managed or run is that, I learned how to, search engine optimization because it's really expensive to hire someone. I learned, kind of overcoming algorithms, grew a really big Facebook page, have a really big Pinterest account, work on Instagram and all these other places. And so over the time, you start seeing these patterns of how pretty much any algorithm is the same. It just has little different tweaks. I have a suspicion that they're all run by the same person in the basement of some dark building somewhere. But currently, my main site is Kids Activities blog, fun things to do with your kids and resources for parents. And that led me to about 2 years ago to, with a partner, Rachel Miller, to create a software called PageWheel that you can make a digital product like a workbook or a checklist or something that you want to give away or sell. And then based on what you make in there, it creates a sales page, the delivery page, the email, and all the social media that you might want to use to promote it, all using AI.
That's awesome. All right. So there's so much to unpack there. So I will tell you all, as you're listening to Holly today, she's going to have tons of awesome tips and tricks for you as you're building and expanding your business. But she and I met, how many years ago has it been? 6 years?
Yeah, maybe 5. I don't think it was quite 6. Yeah.
I don't know. Well, there's that sort of COVID warfare.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a dark period that we just don't even, our brains just left.
So before COVID, before COVID. So we were in a mastermind together, learning more kind of marketing and sales techniques of how to, really blow up online businesses. And so I feel like we have gone back to the dark ages of the internet, right? Of learning all of this stuff. And so I love watching your journey of what you're doing. So the first thing I want to start with, I'm super excited to talk about your software that you have. But the first thing is so when you started to build the mom blog and get it to the place where it is today, talk a little bit about how did you build an audience? How did you get people interested? What techniques did you have for keeping them engaged in the blog and getting them to come back over and over again? Talk to us a little bit about that process, because I think, when you're starting an online business, one of the hardest things to do is to really start to attract the right people who are in your world and who are coming back and constantly a part of what you're doing. So talk to our audience a little bit about that.
Yeah. And first of all, it's been a really long journey. It's one of those things that people are like, "Oh my goodness, you have such a big site," and I'm like, "Yeah, but we're talking 20 years work behind it." And I think I want to say that up front because like everybody starts with 0 to 1 follower. That first one is a really, really big, a big deal. And don't discount that because every single person starts there. And so that I did start with like, I remember it was 3 weeks of me into blogging that I got my first comment that wasn't my mother or my grandmother or my best friend. And so, and when that happened, like, well, first of all, I had no idea that other people blog because I'm that dense and clueless. But like, you think about it, that's a really big deal. As somebody stopped what they were doing on the internet and engaged with you. And so, even though like everything has changed, that was pre-Facebook, pre-Twitter, pre-everything. And we had no social media back then. But everything has changed, yet everything is the same. And so the engagement really comes from being human, which, is one of the reasons why like AI is awesome tool, but I don't think my job is in jeopardy because it has a really hard time being Holly or being human. And so people come to social media to engage with others, to be social. If they wanted like a super glossy performance of some sort, they would go to Netflix or Hulu or something like that. They are actually on social media to be interactive with other people and to find people who are similar to themselves. And so that's where I love this whole, kind of an authenticity movement that's been happening in the last few years is like, stop trying to be what you think you should be and start being yourself. Because number one, it's a lot easier to keep up over time. And other than that is, I would say like, think about like how you connect with other people in your life. So if we were to get together this weekend with a few of the other friends that we have, like, from the coaching group, we would be up, over drinks late night, like giggling over like absurd things that happened or silly things or did you hear about this? Or do you remember when this happened? And none of them are like, remember when I walked into a room and I was perfectly dressed and we don't connect over those type of things. And I think one of the funny things about the internet is people keep trying to present themselves in that way, but there's no way to connect with that. So you really want to be like who you want to attract or be the friend of who you want to attract. Because then you're going to have commonalities, you're going to have shared experiences, you're going to have values that are same and can grow over time, just like a friendship would be offline.
I love that. That is so powerful. And I think that that's so true, right? It's just showing up how you would in real life, right? Like it's sort of like you're building that party or that experience online that you would build in real life. And I think that, so often people forget that and then they show up totally different. You're like, wait, just be who you are.
I know, like one of the things that, you see these people that are like really spammy or salesy online that are just like, buy this, buy this, buy this. And you think about it, if you met them in real life, they like I would hope that's not the conversation you'd have. They don't walk into a cocktail party and be like, hey, I have this product, it's this and this and this. But that's what they represent online. And I think it's just because they don't understand. If you have met me, you like, know, and trust me, I have something for sale that fits you. We don't even have to have a sales conversation. Like you're like, oh, Holly sells that. Like I'll buy it from her because you like, know, and trust me. You know that I have it for sale and you need it. And so I think if we could just back up a little bit, realize we need to go forward with being human, creating those relationships. Then, of course, you have to let them know that you have those things for sale. Otherwise, this isn't going to work either. So there is a part of that, but that doesn't have to be done like an advertisement from Target. It can be done in a way that just like, hey, I have this, why do I have this? Well, just like you would sit down and recommend something to a friend, your friend's not going to turn around and say, why did you just try to sell me on that? They'll be like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I have to go buy that. So
Right.
when you start looking at these as a relationship basis instead of transactional, it gets a lot easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Well, and it's so true, right? I mean, it's I think the huge sort of shift that we're seeing, like to your point, where people want that. People are not tolerating any more of this crazy business where it's like, did you forget that there's actually people on the other side of your camera? I actually just did a podcast, a different podcast episode about that this morning. So that will be coming out soon around like showing up and selling to your first couple customers and like being like, yeah, well, we're just going to create it together. It's going to be great. Like just pay me and then we'll just sit around and figure out what we're going to do. No, it doesn't work like that, right? Like you have to have something that you're bringing to the table and bring it around who you are and what your expertise is and how you can actually help people, not just like, hey, let's get together and you can just give me some money and then I'll make something up for you. So yeah, so
it needs to be a value for both people.
Yeah.
Sometimes we forget that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so that's an awesome tip. If you are like, in that position where you're feeling like, how do I show up online? I don't want to be a dancing monkey. I don't want to do all of these random things and feel like I'm just like spamming people. Just show up who you are. And do that in your messaging, do that in your product that you have, and just remember that you are actually like connecting with a real human on the end of that. Awesome. So talk to us a little bit about like the business of the blog. So you first started out just like trying to connect people, right? Like and getting your materials out there. But like, how did it go from that to becoming a business that now you have an actual well, you said you support your family, so how did it get from where it started to there?
Oh, you froze for a second. Are you back?
Did you hear
Okay.
hear the question?
Where take it to a business?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I started out obviously as a hobby and and for for several years, nobody was making money on the internet. So when it hadn't even occurred to me until I started getting really spammy, emails sent to me about, hey, I want to be featured on your blog. And then I realized at some point, somebody's going to get paid for this. And so it might as well be me because like, even though I replaced an expensive scrapbooking habit, I was putting a lot of hours and stuff into this hobby. And it had really become my, kind of social circle when I had little kids in the house and you can't get out that much and stuff like that. So I saw the value of it being a connection for myself in those early days. And so that's one of the things I wanted to build as we went along is build something for others that could experience that. It's us being a stay-at-home mom is very lonely sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's an awesome job, but like there's really long hours where there's just what I would say a lot of headspace time. Where you're just like, if I thought about what I was doing in this waiting room, waiting for these kids to take 2 hours of swimming lessons, I would like take an ice pick to my eyes, like those type of things. But you're so grateful to be there. So you're like, it's like that back and forth kind of thing. So, just knowing that there's other people in the world that are doing it, that they're supportive. And so that's kind of where I headed with that once I realized how valuable it was in my own life. And so as, things just started happening and I would just say this for any business, like when you're starting your business or when you're in the middle of your business for that matter, or even where I am now, who knows, is a lot of times you don't know exactly where it's headed. And, like I know there's people that say you should have a 5-year plan and a 10-year plan. Super doesn't work for me because I'm always in the position of thinking whatever I'll be doing in 5 years hasn't really even been invented yet. And that's kind of been, the cycle I've seen, what I was doing 20 years ago has no even close relation to what other than the fact that it on the internet and it has a website foundation. So like, following kind of where your heart, passion, the opportunities lead you, sometimes not kind of going into that blind, not even understanding why you're doing that, can be super, super powerful. And then as you see things unfold, you can start looking for the monetization opportunities. One of the things that when Facebook Lives came out, I had been doing live video over on Google Plus, which I know most of you don't even know what that is anymore. But back in the dark ages of the internet, we used to go live on Google. And so when it finally came out on Facebook, I was like really, really excited. And, I started using it immediately, but like I couldn't figure out how to monetize it. And it took me, but that didn't stop me. It's like, oh, I can't do this because I can't monetize it. I was like, no, let me figure this out. I know through doing this, I'll figure out a way to monetize it. And that's how it went. I ended up selling clothing on the internet on shows on Facebook Live every night of the week. But like
which we watched as a family, by the way. I just like have to put that in because one of the things I love about you, Holly, is just like what you're talking about is first of all, no idea stops you, right? Like you just take it and move forward. And then you're like, so how do I monetize this in a way that not only serves my people, but obviously serves you and makes you money. And so you had that show, which was amazingly hilarious. Like you have done so many things around this foundation where it's the same foundation, but just sort of different things. So my family and I were all sitting around and Holly and her co-host were they were selling these clothes, and my entire family sat down because they were like, "What are you watching?" And then Holly says, and I'll never forget this in my entire life, but Holly was talking about a sweater. I'm totally going on a tangent with this. It was so fun. So Holly is selling a sweater, and she's like, "It's like a cocoon of awesomeness," and like wrapped herself in the sweater. And my family still to this day quotes this quote that Holly had of the cocoon of awesomeness. And so there you go. You are famous in my household for that.
Which I absolutely love because like these things, well, and this goes back to the authenticity. Like when you're on a live video, first of all, you can't plan 3 hours of live video. It's just not going to happen. So you're just going to have to be okay with the stupid stuff that comes out of your mouth sometimes, which was kind of on brand for us, is a lot of people watch because you just don't know what we're going to say.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. Yeah, there you go. So there, like that is an authentic brand right there for sure. But the point is really great, right? Is that you're just saying like just go with what is coming up for you and feels authentic and try and monetize it and move forward.
Yeah, and also I think to a certain extent, you really want to give yourself permission to explore those new things or those things that interest you, even if it doesn't make sense to your business right there. And I would say that has always kept me more on the edge of what's happening versus waiting for someone else to come and tell me what to do or waiting for what an expert might say. In general, a lot of the experts are going to be years and years behind what is actually happening on the internet because it's such low, like you can just go try things for like not much money or no money or, just some time investment learning things and stuff like that. So like you don't be stuck in the mold of what you imagine this looks like or what other people imagine this look like. You're going to be led in ways that is going to make your business super unique. And by the way, you'll be able to leverage it because it's going to be closer to your heart and the passions that you really have inside.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay, so let's transition to today and what you're doing today and how did that transition happen? True to your spirit, you probably saw an opportunity and took advantage of it. So tell us a little bit about how that happened and then what you're working on.
Yeah. So, like, one of the things that occurred to me as I was building this website is because at one point, Kids Activities blog was getting up to 10 million page views a month. And which is amazing, but nothing stays the same on the internet. And so, like, a lot of those people are coming from Facebook or from Pinterest or Google. And I was like, I need to be able to control that traffic more. And so one of the things that I was like, I need to build a list. I need to build an email list, because if someone comes to the blog, I need to be able to reach back out to talk to them. This can't just be a one and done. Like, I want to, I create content that, is ongoing. Like, if you liked this, I have 450 other things that you might like too. Or if you have this problem, I might be able to solve these other problems that you probably have too. So, like, I was like, okay, email list. So started with one opt-in on the site because that's actually started with 0 and put one in. And then over time, I just added, like, for a while I was adding one a week. And then as I was able to scale that, figured it out. And this is the other thing, is what you're doing and what you're learning to do today, you're going to be able to do so much faster. You'll know way better about it, after you've done it a while. So I love learning in the trenches. So yeah, those first opt-ins were painful. I now have about 2,500 opt-ins on the site, which means that I get a lot of my traffic into my email list. If you need a coloring page, a workbook, a printable of any kind for kids, I likely have it at this point. And so I'm getting, 500, 600 new subscribers to my email list every single day. And then I'm going back and sending them an email every single day and using my email for traffic to my site. And then also the second layer of that was, okay, let's go ahead and start making products that fit in with the scenarios that we see, like problem solving and extended printable series and stuff like that could keep kids busy, or give parents hacks and tricks to fix things. And so I run a site called One Crazy House with Rachel Miller. We have all sorts of, like, it's kind of hacks and tricks. And so we're like, hey, we were kind of applying the same technique to that. And we were building, like, a camping guide that would be like $7, for the camping category, a cleaning guide for the cleaning categories. And so we had these things made, and then like I'm not very good at funnels. It's just not my strength. A lot of people try to teach me, but it's just like, I'm not techy. So, like, I was starting to put these things together, but it was ridiculous. Rachel she's really good at it, so she put some stuff together, and then we were cloning them because we had about 12 of these different products that we were putting into the blog. And we're talking 3 or 4 months later, we have, like, maybe 1 or 2 of those things launched. Things were breaking and behind the scenes. And by the way, like, the software that we put this stuff together was like $250 a month, and we're selling things for $7. And so I was just like, why is this so hard? Like, why? Like, it's stupid hard. Like, if I have I've been on the internet for 17 years at this point. Like, if this is hard for me, I can't be the only one that said this is stupid hard. And so Rachel, being Rachel, she was like, like, let me think about this. And she came back and she goes, okay, I think I can solve this for you. And by the way, why don't we just make a software so we can solve it for everyone? And I was just like, okay. Well, that was 2.5 years ago. And so basically we did. And so we created these templates that you could go make whatever, the workbook, the checklist, the ebook, whatever you want, the calendar within, it's called PageWheel. And then while we were coding it, AI came into the picture, and we started using AI behind the scenes to help us create the products. And then we were like, oh my gosh, we could use AI like, PageWheel knows what you just made. So it can automatically make the sales page, the delivery page, deliver it via email and online to that customer that you might have had, or the opt-in that you just had. And then we have all, like, just hundreds of social media AI generated templates that will create a whole social media calendar and all the social media you need to promote it. And oh, by the way, it's like you can do that in 20 minutes and actually launch something instead of, like, 3 months later, you're still pulling your hair out with, like, nothing to show for it. And it's very inexpensive too. So we just like now I use it every day because it solves a problem I have. And now like there's not the pressure of, I think we've all had this situation where we spent months and months on a funnel or an idea that we finally launched. And I remember one that I like sold two. And I was like, I won't even tell you what I spent on it. You sell two and you're like, oh my God, like it just feels like the biggest failure. But like, if you spent 20 minutes on it and you sold two, you'd be like, oh my God, look at this. This is amazing. So like, it really gives you the ability to test things and launch things in a lot different way than we've had in the past.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, PageWheel, is it PageWheel.com?
PageWheel.com.
PageWheel.com. Okay, so I wouldn't put that in the show notes, but go check that out. But I love that for so many different reasons. From the perspective of you solving a problem in the market, you took action, you solved the problem because you had the problem yourself, and then you were able to give it to other people so they could also solve the problem. So first and foremost, I love that. Great job. That's exactly like when you think about bringing something to market, the most successful approaches are when you're actually solving a problem that you have or somebody that has your clients or your customers or whatever, and you know that it's something that is a gap. Like that's amazing. The second thing is like the other part of this I love is that you're using AI, and you alluded to this earlier, and I want to talk about this because I think the AI conversation is really important. And it's not like you're not using AI to do everything without you being involved with it, right? So what it's doing is it's taking what you've created and then applying it to other things that then you can edit and change. But talk to me a little bit about your philosophy around the AI because it's not going to take over the world because it still needs humans to put the right input in. And to your point earlier with being authentically you, it's never going to capture your voice in exactly the same way that you are showing up live. So talk a little bit about that, because I think that's a great sort of tee into your product, but also to what's going on the internet right now, right? Like, how is AI actually affecting everything?
It's kind of helpless on the internet. And so one of the things because obviously early adopter to everything. So of course, the minute, ChatGPT was launched, I'm in the middle of it. And I found myself like arguing, I'm very combative with AI for some reason. I don't know. I'm really nice in person to people, but I don't know. Machine learning is crazy, but what I really realized at even early on is it's really helpful for me as a writer and as a blogger and even developing different types of things it's such a nice step one so that you're not staring at a blank page. Because as soon as you have stuff on that page, your human brain goes into overdrive and like, oh, that, no, yes, or, oh, I didn't even think about adding that. And that's the genius of AI. It's going to be kind of vaguely comprehensive. And so we can use that to our advantage, in blogging, in creation of all this stuff. And so what is really, but the other thing that I found super annoying about AI, especially in the beginning, is I have this argument with it for 30 minutes and then I don't have anything to show for it unless I like copy and paste or take it somewhere else and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, well, I'm the human. I'm the one with a limited time. Like, why am I doing all the work? Like, so what I love about what we've done at PageWheel is that we use AI in a way that you end up with something tangible immediately. So you're not like, you got this. And so a lot of our templates, when you put in your topic, they'll fill in with AI. to like, if you're, so you might use that same template if you're creating, how to do a preschool craft or how to, put together a rocket. Like that, those same step templates might be in play for both a very complex and a very simple thing, but the AI can help you bridge that gap between those look like very different things in the end. And so, but you as the human are going to go in and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, it got that right. Or, it's really good at really concise steps. But then on the, oh, here's why I wrote it, you're going to go in and probably add a little bit of different things. But the other thing that I love about what PageWheel does is that it short circuits, the user. So you don't have to be an AI expert because if I'm going to go make a full blown blog post that has the elements I want and the voice I want, I might end up with 6 paragraphs of prompts that I'm putting in to an AI. Well, in our templates, those prompts are behind the scenes. So we know that the About Me page that you're writing on is an About Me page. So you might say, hi, I'm Holly. I'm the mom of 3 boys who uses play as a survival mechanism in my home. And then it will write it with the behind the scene prompts of it being an About Me page and why that's important to what we're making. So you can see how like now I may go in and just change 2 or 3 sentences in that About Me page because there's all these prompts behind the scenes that you don't have to worry about. So you don't have to carry 6, paragraphs of prompts into a place. You're going to choose a page. It's going to have prompts behind the scenes that you don't even know about, that you're just going to put what you want to put in there. And then, oh, well, that was off. I'll change the prompt a little bit, run it again, or I'll just edit it a little bit to make it sound like me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so great. And that's the power, right? It's like you're using it to your advantage, and then you still are taking control over it. I think so first of all, if anyone needs to do workbooks and cheat sheets and checklists and all of that stuff, this tool is perfect for that. And will definitely shortcut your process. So I love that. And so for all of you, which is everyone who needs that.
Anyone that needs to build a list or sell something online, which is pretty much everyone.
They need this. So go check it out. I know I'm going to go check it out after this call. But I think that, so one of the things I just want to touch on around this concept is, and I've heard this from so many people, is that using AI feels like you're cheating because it's too easy, right? And so you want to make something more difficult. And so you think you should do it from scratch. And so talk to us a little bit about that philosophy that people may have of like, you have to do it from scratch. You can't, it's like, can't be too easy to get all of this done.
Yeah. And you cut out just a little bit. So if I get off topic, interrupt me. But so one of the things I think happens on the internet, and I'm just going to say it out loud, is we way overthink and overcomplicate everything. I have learned that launching something or pushing something into the public, that's crappy, is way, way, way better than holding it back and not launching it yet. So, and the reason for that is like we said, like with the funnel, those first few times you do something, you're not very good at it. You're not going to hit the target. So you might as well launch to learn. Just launch to learn, test. I use the internet as a kind of a big science experiment. So we have to take action in order to grow. And if you learn anything from me, this is the secret sauce. It's not that I'm smarter or brighter or anything. It's that I just take action every single day. And so if some of it's super bad, but it's kind of part of my brand. So, hey there, brand the hot mess. It works really well online. But no, like just keep pushing out. And by the way, I also want to say, if you put something out that people don't like, the algorithms are going to kind of be your savior at that point. It's not going to get out very far. So you can come back, refresh it, and send it back out. So what we built into PageWheel is kind of that, like, hey, yeah, like, yes, you might make this a little bit different if you had 25 hours and unlimited budget. I get that. Like your workbook might look different. But if you use this, we can get it to your audience. You can serve your audience in the next 20 minutes. And guess what? That person on the other end whose problem you just solved doesn't care if your logo was on the second page in the right color, or like, it doesn't matter, because when you're solving problems and when you're helping people, it's more about that than anything else. And so it kind of helps you take the vanity out of it a little bit, because really, in the end, it's not about your branding. I mean, it's good that you have branding so they might be able to recognize you next time, but it's about that feeling or that problem-solving relationship that you have with that customer that will bring them back over and over again.
Yeah, so much gold right there. Rewind that and listen, because it's like launch to learn is so powerful, right? Like that's why we say fail is the first attempt at learning, right? Like you don't just put something out there once it's perfect and hope that it's going to do something. No, you just, you put things out there to test them and solve real problems, and then figure it out. So that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Holly, because I think that that's really important.
Yeah. And I want to emphasize that failure thing a little bit. I mean, I have a good ego on me. I'm not a super fan of failure, but ... I would say that without question, the times when I've had the biggest failure, when I go down in flames, is when I actually stop and analyze and figure out why. If you're on this lucky streak of winning, you are very likely not doing any analytics or trying to figure out why it's happening. You're just like, of course, it's because it's me. And then when you hit rock bottom is when you're like, oh crap, what happened? And those times of that failure of when things didn't, or I was sure this was going to work and it didn't, why, is when you actually learn the most. And you had to go through that to make that next success possible. So yeah, it super sucks. But on the other hand, it's kind of one of your biggest assets.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, cool. So one of the things I always ask our guests, podcasters, is what is the top tip, trick, or just success factor that you can give people who are on this journey?
Yeah, so I will take it back to one of my very favorite movies, What About Bob? If you're younger than us, then you may need to go look that up on Netflix or Hulu. But Bob had a lot of obstacles in his life. And one of the ways he gets over these obstacles is he says over and over in his head, baby steps to the elevator. He's afraid of going on elevators, or baby steps to the sailboat. He doesn't want to go sailing. So and I would say without fail, maybe 20 or 30 times a day, that is going through my head, is baby steps, because everything that we do in life is hard in some way, but we just need, there's no momentum unless you're taking a baby step, and you may be only one on any given day. It may be 22 on another day, but just keeping some amount of progress, even if it's in the opposite direction of where you need to be going, is going to give you the momentum to correct that path really quickly.
I love that. All right, everybody go check out that movie if you haven't watched it.
And then you're being like, Holly is insane.
No, it's funny because I was like, what about that movie? I just don't, and so then you explained it. That's perfect. Okay, and then how about a book or resource that you cannot live without in your business?
Yeah, I'm going to go the book route on this one. And it's one that I read actually back when I met you a few years ago, and it's called A Happy Pocket Full of Money. And so this world that we were in was very aspirational as far as if you think it, kind of Think and Grow Rich, and, law of attraction, all this kind of stuff. And as a scientist and as a very black and white thinker, this was all very foreign to me. And I might have been a little skeptical. Okay, I'm a huge skeptic on just about anything. And it was hard for me to understand the thinking. Like, I'm like, well, yeah, you can think about it, but if you're not taking, like, like, action, like,
Yeah. Right.
so I thought a happy pocket full of money was a beautiful kind of transition between those two worlds, and like kind of changing the way you think about money, explaining the law of attraction in a way that even if you're a skeptic, it totally makes sense. And so I just think it's a really good mindset, especially if you're in my camp and you're all like, yeah, I feel like all these gurus are a little kind of out there. This is going to help you give the understanding to realize that everybody has a voice in a way that is valuable, even though you may not have understood it.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, cool. Everybody go check out that book. I will put it in the show notes so that you have it. All right. So Holly, any parting words that you have for our listeners today as we go off into the next part of our day?
Yeah, so I would say one of the things that I want you to start on today, if I could just give you a little assignment, is start growing your email list. The algorithms are not reliable. Search engines are not reliable on delivering those people over and over, those same people over and over to you, even if they follow you, even if they're searching for you. So if you can get them on your email list and then talk to them like a human, it's going to be a beautiful way for you to grow your community over time.
All right. You heard it from Holly. All right, Holly, thank you so much for being on the show today. We appreciate you. And for everyone who's looking for PageWheel, go to pagewheel.com and you will find out more about her awesome tool that she has. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Are you a business owner ready to streamline and scale your business? Imagine solving the biggest business challenges with clarity, a strategy, and a clear plan. Hey, I'm Bryan, and I want to invite you to take the first step towards transforming your business with a free 30-minute discovery call. This call is an opportunity to discuss your goals, identify key challenges, and learn how my mentorship program can help you achieve the success you're aiming for. In just a half hour, we'll explore how you can scale your business by enhancing your authority strategy, engagement strategy, and retention strategy. You'll get personalized advice and a clear path forward. Ready to take the first step? Click on the link below that's in the show notes to book your free discovery call now. I hope to talk to you soon.